Welcome to the edition of the Mexican Soccer Show. I am Wiso Vazquez, back in Phoenix, Arizona. Yes, this is where I'm at. As you can see behind me, I need to put more stuff on that wall. But all right. Lots and lots to talk about the qualifiers today. With me, of course, we have our blog, who's getting famous by the day, by the way, getting more followers and more followers on Twitter. Owen, congratulations, man, getting the 2K. Yeah, getting that blog going, getting the all the highlights. It's like as soon as a game ends, boom, Owen's got a highlight. If you're not following him, get to it. How are you doing, Owen?
I'm doing great, Wiso. Thank you for the kind words about the account. Yeah, it's great to see it building organically, a little community there, and trying to get the highlight videos and other content out there that the people want as quickly as possible and when it's opportune. Yeah.
And with us a while since Adriana has joined the Mexican Soccer Show live. Adriana, you were on vacation. I really thought when we were like, hey, who's ready to go? I was like, wait, isn't Adriana out and about? Yeah.
No. We're working again. Yeah.
Yes.
I gotta keep things going, you know?
Got it.
It is way colder here, as you can see, than wherever you guys are.
I'm like, you ready to go skiing? What's you got a beanie on?
It's a great beanie, though. I mean, if you're gonna have to wear a beanie, it might as well be that one.
Yeah.
Sorry, I can't see it. What does the beanie say? Oh, it
says cutie, and it has this.
I really
Very
thought
90s.
Amy's putting it. Amy in the production putting it back. I really thought it said guapa, like the yellow. It was like. I was like, well, whose bet did you lose? That it's saying guapa.
No.
All right. Well, saying hi to everybody that's on the chat.
It's pretty cold down here. It's been raining and hurricanes and.
Don't get me started with that rain in Mexico City. Thursday was horrible. We'll talk a little bit about it, man. That Azteca, it was cold. It was rainy. I had to hold like un paraguas of Janelli because it was so cold. It was, but hey, that's the job that I had to do. Saying hi to everybody on the chats. Yes, Joanna Avalos saying, hey, what's up with the earlier show today? I'm stuck at work. Sorry, Joanna. I'm so glad you're able to join us and, kind of give you guys a little bit of a. So you should probably do some work. Nah, just listen to us. It's up, right? We're there. What's up, Martin? 43 Martin and Alex De La Rosa. What's up? Saludos. Another Alex Badillo. And what's up, Owen? Saying Martin. That's nice. And of course, Sergio doesn't stop with Josh Wolf out. Always coming in, Mr. Sergio. Desde Sacramento, Cesar. Saludos. All right. Yes, we had to do it a little earlier today. We had Labor Day yesterday. I want to make everybody, have a day off and stay that. And then today, I actually have to go yell at some anti-maskers in the community that don't want to mask up. So it's this community meeting. So I'm like, you know what? I got to be there, wear my mask, and tell them what the heck. So yeah. So if you see me on Go Viral or something yelling at people, this is kind of what happened. All right, let's chat. Qualifiers. 6 points. Mexico has 6 points. And let's just be happy for a second, right? Because we can go into all the things going wrong. 2 games, especially Costa Rica, which is still pretty hard. Mexico has points, and everyone's just kind of looking. When we're saying that Panama is the second best team in Concacaf right now, something's going on with the qualifiers. But I'll go to you, Adriana. 6 points. Let's celebrate and be happy that we get those first 2 qualifiers. Caminando is the word that people keep saying, but let's go.
I think everyone should be just satisfied that we have those 6 points, right? I don't think we're like really excited because, truth be told, I think it was the first day of Concacaf qualifiers, and we had all ties, and it was like, oh my God, this is happening. No one's gonna win. This is terrible. But truth be told, it's not the best performances we've seen by El Tri. They were just okay. They got the job done, which in CONCACAF, and because of previous experiences we've had, that's what we should be really satisfied and applauding. But still, you still want to see a better team that I think we saw, particularly in the second half against Costa Rica. And then I just think that we're missing out on that, that show that you want to see when El Tri comes on, right? You want to see a great team. You want to see those individual players have those performances, those key performances. And I'm just not seeing a team that got us excited like the Olympic team did in Tokyo 2020. So I think it's okay, but we are missing some key players, by the way. I mean, you still want to see Raul Jimenez, you want to see Hector Herrera. Obviously, we're not going to see Edson now because he's suspended. Alexis Vega got an injury, which clubs must be really excited, by the way, to see all these players come back and not make it to trips. Cruz Azul I think is going to miss out like on 9 players or something because they won't be available to actually make the trip to Juarez. So I guess it's just like we're doing okay. We wouldn't expect less, to be honest. Seeing the calendar that we have, I do thinking 9 out of 9 was the way to go for these first 3 games.
Yeah. 9 out of 9. I mean, I think I had 7 and, see what happens. But I would have thought that the hardest game would be against Costa Rica, from what we talked about. Owen, 6 out of 6 points. Mexico, the only team to win. Even in the first game, the only team to win. The second win, the only, and now, up in first in the Concacaf.
I think it's a really good problem to have that the media following El Tri, and now we're having this discussion. We're talking about, Mexico get the results, but are they playing as well as they should? I think that's if you're saying before the start, exactly right before the start of these games, before the start of the 2 games, you're saying, okay, you're coming off of a summer where you've lost in the Nations League final, you've lost in the Gold Cup final to the United States. You've looked inoperant or with problems at both ends of the pitch throughout that Gold Cup against relatively weak opposition. The honeymoon period is over for Tata Martino. You're saying if you don't start off on the right foot in these qualifiers, he could even be in trouble, or the pressure would certainly grow on him exponentially. So to be having these conversations of, okay, Mexico takes 6 from 6, there have only been 3 wins in the 8 games so far in this octagonal, and Mexico have 2 of them, right? There are only 2 teams that have won a game. Mexico is one of those teams, right? And they're the only team with 6 from 6. So I think the octagonal so far, it's hard for teams to separate themselves. It's hard for teams to win games, a lot of draws. So for Mexico to get those 6 points, however they're getting them, I think is a positive. Then you can go into the deeper analysis. You can say, okay, I think defensively, for the little bit that Jamaica attacked and the little bit that Costa Rica attacked, there were some errors, there were some lapses in concentration that need to be improved. I think the big issue that we've seen in the 2 games is going forward, for the amount of control you've had of both the games, for the amount of possession you've had, the amount of times you've gotten into the final third and gotten into threatening positions, and then you look at the amount of chances you created and the amount of goals you scored, I don't think it's commensurate. I think you need to be doing a little bit better in the final third, a little bit more decisive, better decision-making. I think that almost cost Mexico against Costa Rica. I think there are moments in that second half when Mexico get into good positions and have chances to score that second goal, and they don't capitalize on it. Then the game kind of falls into a lull, and Costa Rica, with their changes late on, Joel Campbell coming on, almost tie the game, right? Yeah. So I think you need to look at that, and you also need to look at the players you're missing. Obviously, Jamaica, we're missing a lot of players as well, but you're missing your 2 best attackers. You're missing your best midfielder. You're missing your most informed center back in Wiso Vazquez and one of your veteran center backs in Hector Moreno. So the spine of the team basically isn't there. So I think to get those 6 points is the most important thing. I think you can worry later about the performances.
It's interesting because I watched the Thursday game again, and then obviously watched the Sunday game, and I watched it all again. And when I tweeted out that, look, we can be happy about the 6 points, celebrate the 6 points, but then you could also say, hey, the team's still not playing as well as we'd like. We know why. Adriana said it. There's a lot of people that are missing. Add now another one of our best players, Alexis. It's like, it feels like as soon as the best players on something happens, injuries, COVID, or there's so many different reasons of why. But then, so you start seeing, we're not playing, just like you're saying, we're missing those chances. And since we're not playing great, we're going to kind of, the results of the games come down to almost luck. If, Funes Mori scores a header, in against Jamaica, if Funes Mori scores against Keylor Navas, then it'd be a different game, right? We talked about the 2-0 in Jamaica. If again, the poll, it just feels like there's these little chances where we're missing, and over the summer we didn't make them, and that's why we lost the games. right? Oh, and then now in these 2 games, we scored them in those chances and we won the game. So when we're not playing as well, we have to rely on those very, very important missed and sometimes missed opportunities where the teams, even though they have the possession, they're not creating as many chances. And then those chances are not going in, right? So therefore, I'm not necessarily very happy because Panama could sit back and we're going to, hit the pole once. They're going to score on a counter and they could beat us 1-0. It's kind of what happened with the U.S., right? We would score, they would score, we would score. Guardado misses a PK, and then Mexico loses in that Nations League, or a set piece after Orbelín Pineda didn't score that in the Gold Cup final. So I go back, since we're not playing great football, we have to rely to those 1 or 2 chances. It just happened to be that against Jamaica and against Costa Rica, they went in, some of them, because we still missed out on some other chances, right? For the very first game, Jamaica went in there with the teams that they had and set back, and it was rainy, it was hard, there was no fans. Mexico got out there in the last minute, Henry Martin scoring that goal. I mean, talk about a Sabah moment for all of you guys that remember in 2009. It was big, because how big would have been if Mexico gets a tie against Jamaica against that team, right? Then Jamaica gets all their players back. Everyone's expecting Jamaica to play great with all the players, and what happens? Panama goes in there and scores 3-0. 3-0, and it was just kind of crazy. Mexico plays Costa Rica, and I saw Mexico dominating most of the game until the end. 5 minutes left, Mexico came back, and it looked like Costa Rica was ready to score a goal. And I'm like, man, if they tie it up 1-1, it'd be crazy. But no, Mexico got those 6-0. So yeah, it's again, I can't tell you for sure a certainty that Mexico will get 3 points in Panama, because we're playing this style of football where you don't know, because Funes Mori is struggling, right? But then and we have so many injuries, so we'll see. Adriana, when we're looking at all of CONCACAF, right, and seeing it, and we'll touch on Panama and the pregame at the bottom of the hour, but is it a usual qualifier? Do you see something different this time around? What's your consensus on all of the CONCACAF region?
I was surprised to see no one else get a victory, particularly the States. I know this has been a huge conversation. I think the U.S. definitely should have gotten at least a victory, or at least one victory from the past 2 games. I was kind of expecting Honduras and El Salvador to have a much more exciting game, to be honest. I think those are the tougher, those are the tough places you want to visit, like for the qualifiers, right? For the hexagonal, or now for the octagonal. Those are the ones I think Mexico will probably struggle with the most. I was expecting a bit more of a struggle against Costa Rica, that you were saying, but I think they've also been kind of lucky, seeing as though they haven't had real opposition in the other stadiums. So something that will probably change in Panama. But yeah, I just think like it got off on like a really slow start, right? It wasn't as aggressive as we've usually seen CONCACAF qualifiers, right? We've seen other teams struggle. We've seen players, like teams trying to get those points early on. And I just think, I don't know if it has something to do with the really busy summer we all had with Olympics and the Gold Cup and the Copa America, and maybe even the Euro. And just getting all these players back, many out due to injuries, COVID, sneaking out of their teams, stuff like that. So yeah, So yeah, I really think it got off to a really slow start. I mean, we're looking at qualifiers in CONMEBOL, we're seeing qualifiers in UEFA. They've been way more exciting, but something happened in CONCACAF. It was really off to a really slow start. I mean, you were looking at the games, and they were definitely not as exciting as I thought they would be, particularly for these first 3 games.
Oh, and ties everywhere except for Mexico on the first one, and only Panama, like you're saying, and Mexico getting the win. Could it be that it's 3 games in less than a week? The travel, the COVID restrictions, and no fans, there's something off with this CONCACAF window.
I think it's more evenly matched than we maybe thought it would be, for starters.
And but on the lower end, at least?
Yes, well, there's also this added element. Now you're in World Cup qualifying. Mm-hmm. The pressure is on There's a ticket to the World Cup on the line. And with a team like the United States, with a team like Canada, when they have their home games, those are two teams with a lot of talent and people have talked about the names that they have, the players that they have in Europe. And those players will be important, I think, over the course of the qualifying cycle, could end up making the difference and could be the reason why those teams qualify. I have them both qualifying for the World Cup. But with that being said, none of those players except Pulisic on the United States, another few players on the United States, if you're looking at those phenoms, those younger players, have been through a World Cup qualifying cycle. So there's a little bit of inexperience there, perhaps. And a lot of the coaches haven't been through a World Cup qualifying cycle either. So I think it's feeling it out a little bit. Also, with certain teams within El Salvador, I think El Salvador is going for the win probably against Honduras, is unable to. So I think it's also there's a certain aspect with some of these teams of maybe not having the quality to then go and get that win when you really need to, or when that pressure is on, you're still adjusting, you're trying to feel it out. And I think also with some of these teams, we can potentially talk about with the United States too, there's issues off the field as well that could be a distraction.
There's a lot going on. It feels like every camp in Concacaf, those qualifiers, there's a story that's going on, and we can't overlook what's happening with the US. There's obviously some stuff going on with players and breaking protocols but at this and yeah, I mean, we'll say it right now. There's McKennie got sent back to Italy, breaking protocol, supposedly bringing in somebody that wasn't supposed to be there. And then there's rumors flying around from players, and there's just it's like US is imploding when we're saying it. Other coaches are liking coaches should be out. It's kind of funny looking at it. But not only that, Canada not getting, like we said, Canada not getting those first points against for example, Costa Rica. No, not Costa Rica. Who did they play first? They played Honduras, right? And then Costa Rica and Panama, tying in Panama. El Salvador tying against Honduras. It feels like almost in every camp, there's some type of story going on. And of course, in Mexico, it doesn't, we're all just kind of, wow, look at the way we're playing. Like I kind of said that at the beginning of the qualifiers last week. It feels like this year we're not facing a Costa Rica that, we're scared of in Costa Rica. I still think the U.S. isn't as great as everyone thinks it is. They've beat us on some missed opportunities from us. As much as everyone's talking about Canada, I feel Alphonso Davies, look at what he did. But at the same time, it's going to take a lot for a player to a team like that to dominate at home or away. Honduras is also changing. El Salvador looks promising, but look at their players. So I feel like it's almost, I don't want to say it's going to be easy for Mexico, but it's turning out to be that it's not the hardest places, but everything can change, like we're saying. So we'll see. When you're looking at Mexico specifically, Adriana, as far as lineups, when you're seeing, what Mexico fielded on Thursday and then now seeing it, what happened on Sunday, are you getting the feeling that Tata is obviously rotating players, but one, did you like it, or two, is he? We saw two forwards in at the end of the game. Is this culmination because there's 3 games, or are you seeing that we're going to start seeing more of the same players kind of going through in the next games?
I think he's still looking into probably what players would fit best his system, because obviously the biggest criticism is why he hasn't played Henry instead of Funes Mori. And apparently the reason is because he thinks Funes Mori fits his system best. I think we would all probably disagree, because we think that the striker position particularly is one where you have to look at what moment that player is living, right? If they're on a hot streak, you want to keep that going and you want that confidence to build up, rather than have Funes Mori just be the center of all attention and be criticized enormously and carry even more pressure than he already has. So, I think
would you guys bench Funes Mori? Let's say that. Would you bench him for the next game? Owen,
I think I would. I think he needs just like a shakeup and just give Henry a chance. The worst thing that can happen is we still don't score in the first half and just put Funes Mori in for the second half, maybe. I think Henry is probably a bit more motivated right now than Funes Mori. I think he's just carrying that much more pressure. He came in, new Mexican player on the team, so carrying some more pressure because of that. So yeah, I think I would give Henry a chance. I'm liking like most of the other players that we've seen. I was definitely happy not to see Jorge Sanchez back in the lineup. I think he did terribly for that first game. I think Gata did.
I looked at the game. If it wasn't for that horrible, like, I didn't think he did that bad.
I think he has been really inconsistent with the national team. I really don't think he's national team material, at least not for a starting lineup. I think he's been really inconsistent. So I was kind of happy to see Gata get that shot. I think he did okay. I mean, he wasn't marvelous and just like, oh my God, he's going to change our team around. But I think he did a lot better than Sanchez did for that first game. So I think I think Gata will probably be in that starting lineup against Panama. I think midfield is going to be probably switched around a lot because you don't have Edson, probably, I don't know, Romo, maybe Guardado again. Maybe, I don't know, if Alvarado coming in as well. So yeah, I think that's probably what we're going to see. I think we're going to see the same defense. Midfield has to change because you don't have Edson. That's striker position.
Got it. Owen, and before we talk about Panama, but as far as what you saw in the first game and the second game, when it comes to lineups, the players, seeing, for example, Alexis Vega start twice, it's known that Data is going to use him, especially for both of the games, which I thought he wasn't going to be a starter in the second game.
I didn't think he was going to be a starter in the first game, actually, either, because Orbelín Pineda, although not a natural left winger, or certainly a different type of left winger than Alexis Vega, more a player who likes to come into the middle a little bit more, combine, less explosive, less of a dribbler out wide than Alexis Vega. I think that might have been why Tata ended up going with Alexis Vega in both of the games. You look against Costa Rica, certainly Mexico played with, trying to have quick attacking transitions with not that many players. They were only attacking with their front three for most of the time. You had Charlie Rodriguez joining in at times. And then against Jamaica, you're dealing with a back line that's there are a lot of players back there who are sitting deep, making it difficult to pass the ball through the middle. So I think that's why he went with Alexis Vega in that game, thinking, okay, this is a player who individually can make the difference potentially out wide for me. Now, in terms of the Funes Mori discussion, I think in the short term, as we're talking about pre-Panama, I think it's somewhat of a moot point because Funes Mori has now started the first two games. So I think you're looking, okay, you're playing 3 games in a week just because of giving the player rest and where he's at physically. I would expect whoever the backup for it is to be given a chance in this game against Panama. I would be surprised if Funes Mori is starting 3 games in a row unless he's scored in the first 2 games and potentially even if he has. So before there's obviously room to critique Funes Mori for his performance in the first 2 games. I think the reason why he's still starting and the reason why he's Tata's backup striker when Jimenez is there is because, as Adriana touched on, he's the player in camp, he's the striker in the pool who's the most like Raul Jimenez, who's able to drop deep, link up play, who's able to combine with his teammates a little bit better. So that's why he's in the team. There are the chances he's missing. He's a player who misses a lot of chances, even with Monterrey's. Monterrey's top scorer of all time, but he's a player who missed a lot of chances even in Liga MX, and he hasn't gotten that many. As I mentioned before, I think the problem here for Mexico, it's not Funes Mori missing the chances, it's not giving Funes Mori more chances. So, and then you're looking at this Jorge Sanchez discussion, I think is interesting as well. He's a player who has the raw talent. Just looking at the tools he has, I think is the best right back for Mexico. But then you look on the field, he's a player who's prone to lapses in concentration at times. We saw that against Jamaica. There's that famous error that he made in the Apertura 2019 final second leg against Monterrey that essentially cost America that final. So a player who gets forward well, but then also at times you're looking, okay, where's the end product? He gets forward, but then are you delivering good final balls? With that being said, against Jamaica, he does get forward. There are times where he struggles, but then there are also times where he does deliver good balls. He puts that cross on a platter for Funes Mori. That should be a goal for Mexico there. I think Cata looked very good against Costa Rica, very solid defensively. That's what you'd be expecting. That's what you wanted out of him. You weren't expecting him to get forward with with as much regularity as a Jorge Sanchez would, as a Chaco Rodriguez would. But with that being said, I think he had some good passes forward. He has the pass to Guardado that ends up provoking the penalty in the second half. He combines well with Orbelin on another occasion to set up a chance early in the second half. So I think he keeps his spot. I agree with Adriana. I think the back four stays the same. And then in midfield, Romo has to come in for Edson. It'll be interesting to see him there as a 5 because he's played there a lot. I think he's better as an 8, but I think you have to keep Guardado and Charlie.
Yeah.
Because I think they look really good. I think I think the midfield was the strongest area for Mexico against Costa Rica. I think that trident you had, if Edson was healthy, I would maintain that trident. He's not, or excuse me, if Edson hadn't had the yellow card suspension, I would have maintained that trident. You can't, so I would keep 2 of the 3, especially because you got the chance to take Guardado off with about 10, 15 minutes left, so get him a little bit of rest. Hopefully the game sets up where it's favorable for him. I think the game against Costa Rica was quite slow. Costa Rica weren't proposing much or weren't able to propose much, weren't able to build quickly through midfield. So it was a game that was really set up for Guardado. Hopefully there's a similar type of match so he can shine.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll be talking all about the Panama preview right after these cool little video that we have with our Mexican national team, Mexican American community. It should start soon. There we go.
Hello, my name is Z Tinoco.
Hi, my name is Ana. I was born in Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico.
Hello, my name is Karina Torres.
Hi, I'm Gabby.
My name is Ivan.
Hi, I'm Valeria.
Hi, my name is Bianca.
Hi, my name is Rigo Ayala.
I'm Maria. I was born in Jalisco but live in Fresno, California.
My name is Ivan Pineda, and I was born in Mexico City.
Hi, my name is Carmen. I was born in Culiacan, Sinaloa, Mexico. I live in the United States, and I support the Mexican national team because I am proud of where I come from.
I'm a fan of the Mexican national team because it's a part of who I am. It's a part of my identity.
I support the Mexico national team because I identify more with my Mexican culture.
You know, regardless of being here in the States, I cannot see myself cheering for anybody else but the Selección Mexicana.
Yes, I was born here, but this blood is thick and it doesn't portray this crust.
The culture, the passion, the drive is just unmatched and unbelievable.
Watching Mexico play always fills me with so much happiness.
This team just, it means everything to me.
Supporting Mexico is a feeling that is within me. It comes from the heart.
You just feel it in your heart.
You always know when there's a game coming up and the family gets together. Una taquiza, una carne asada, take out las cervezas.
I will always support La Selección Mexicana. See you in Qatar 2022. Si se puede, Mexico!
There it is. She said it. See you in Qatar 2022. It was the coolest segment that was aired from the Liga MXN community there. I was helping out with CBS. So, yeah. So, wanted to share it with you all. And thank you to all who sent in some of their videos. Hopefully, we can get more of the voices from our Liga MXN community out because I definitely want to feature them. All right. Let's talk Mexico versus Panama. Mr. Jon Arnold was supposed to join us. I don't know why our production's telling us that he's running a little late, but let's preview that, guys. Wait. There he is. I see you.
Woo woo.
Hey, John. Can you hear us? You're on. Hello. Can you hear us okay?
What's up, guys? How we doing?
Yeah.
Good, John.
There isn't anybody else out there that knows
Hey,
more
John.
about Concacaf teams. Mr. Jon Arnold, who's got an amazing newsletter, right? In the Concacafinated, where he goes to coffee places. It's something that if you're not following, it's amazing. So, Mr. John here to tell us a little more about Panama. And I'm pretty sure you can go like a full hour. I guarantee you. But John, stick to it. We only have about 10, 15 minutes. John, how are you, sir? First of all, where are you in the world? Because you're always traveling.
I was just in Salt Lake for FC Dallas against Real Salt Lake, but I'm back home. It's easier to cover the octagonal from home, I think. So hopefully I'll make it to a couple of games. But with 4 games a night, it does get to be quite difficult to kind of keep up. I tweeted a photo the other day. I don't love the people who are like, look how many games I'm watching. So I wasn't sure if it was a good move, but I tweeted out one of me watching the 3 games that were going on at that time because it was all happening. Right. So I went back and, checked highlights and always read media reports from our friends and what everyone else is saying, and kind of try and figure out exactly who played well, who played poorly, etc., and do as much as I can. So anyway, all that to say, I'm at home and kind of enjoying getting Concacaf headquarters set up and getting all the games beamed in.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, you know, we watch Mexico, we report on Mexico, but having all those games at the same time, especially, you know, Mexico-US game that was almost at the same time on Thursday, and then everything that's happening, and we're looking at you to give us the, you know, the Honduras, the Costa Rica, the Canada, everything at Concacaf must be hard. So especially tweeting all those and you know, seeing what's happening. So more power to you, and yeah, just keep us updating. But you're here, Panama. Again, we couldn't think of anybody else that could really give us a preview about the team. Already I saw Mexico's, you know, 10 players and an Argentinian players that are there starting off some I thought maybe Costa Rica is going to do some talking like that, but it was Panama who's putting a little pressure of Mexico and the Argentine coming to play us at the.
Yeah, you got the smack talk from the president, which, like, I don't know, if I'm a president of a federation after what's happened the last decade, I probably lay low. You know, I don't know that I'm talking smack before a game like this gentleman, but you know, to each their own. You know, in Panama, somewhere that is also utilizing the past players from other countries, right? I mean, everyone does it, right? So I think it's a bit confusing of a tactic. What I think is more the sort of like classic pregame smack that I think is more relevant is that even Panama's manager, Tomas Christensen, is frustrated with the state of the field. Classic CONCACAF narrative, but the Romel Fernandez, a beautiful stadium in a beautiful place, Panama City. They weren't able to play there during the first 2 rounds of World Cup qualification because of maintenance to the field. Now it's supposed to be better, but Christensen isn't happy with how it plays. He says he wants to play more attacking football, wants to put more passes on the ground, and then the field is making it difficult. Panama trained this morning. I think Mexico, maybe an hour ago or so, as we're speaking on the live show, was able to get to know the field and train there as well. So I think both teams obviously play on the same pitch, but it seems to be kind of that classic CONCACAF narrative of bumpy pitch, but that's what we know in this region. Like, you still got to go out and get it. It's just weird that the home coach is even saying, like, ooh, I don't know that this is going to be up to my standards. That same president of the Panamanian FA said, hey, let's have some patience. We're getting it good. It's good. It's better than it has been in past cycles, he said, and we're getting it to the standard where it needs to be. So hopefully October, November, we're not even talking about this. But as you guys know, the game is Wednesday, not in October, not in November. So I think that'll be a narrative and certainly something to watch, especially for a Mexico team that I think maybe even more than Panama, or definitely even more than Panama, likes to connect passes, likes to keep the ball on the ground, likes to keep possession. So we'll see how that affects both teams' games. But despite the fact that Christensen is complaining about it, I think L3 may be the more impacted team.
Yeah. As far as the team, Panama, and I haven't been. I mean, you know, Edson's not going to be there. Alexis Vegas is not going to be there. When you're looking at the Panamanian, are they coming in with everything, John? Are there players that are missing? Do we expect a Panama like 2015? You know, where what's the preview like as far as the team, and you know how Mexican fans should be worried? Should we not? It should be pretty straightforward, or how do you see it?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest absence is a guy who hasn't been in the entire cycle, or for these games. Harold Cummings, who's the captain, the center back at the back, typically the best defender that Panama has. He's injured and wasn't called into the group. There's a few other of those kind of classic, like some people want them in. Gabi Torres, who plays in Mexico, of course, is another one who, especially fans of CONCACAF or fans who have been with Mexico for years and years, will remember Gabi Torres lining up for Panama. Not included in the squad, and as far as we can tell, it's just because Christensen doesn't rate what he's doing. He did put a lot of impetus on how often players are playing with their club. I think that was important, and as we know, Gabi Torres is not super active with Pumas necessarily. That does leave, and I think even when he's in the roster, Panama has difficulties finishing, but you wouldn't know it. Coming off their performance against Jamaica, 3-0, their first goal, I feel like they needed to get that kind of cap blown off, because they had Keylor the first game. They were facing Costa Rica, and you're not going to beat Keylor Navas without your best, right? Mexico learned that as well this past game. So, it's tough. It's tough to beat the best goalkeeper in the region and maybe the best goalkeeper in the world. So Panama had difficulties and they didn't have good chances. Andre Blake is also a very good goalkeeper, but the cap kind of got blown off when actually a center back scored. Andres Andrade, name of a familiar friend to Mexican soccer as well, the Colombian, as we all remember. It's a different guy. It's a Panamanian center back who plays in the Bundesliga. So it was interesting to see that happen. But Panama, once that first goal fell, they kind of dominated Jamaica. They I think smelled blood in the water and were able to take advantage. And that's exactly what they did against Jamaica. So 3 goals, for a team that I'm saying has trouble scoring is impressive. And I think Mexico has to be on alert a little bit.
When you think of the game that Panama went to Jamaica, did you have them beating Jamaica 3-0, especially with the players that are coming back? They're at home. I thought out of all the results, that was definitely more. We were watching, I'm like, wow, 3-0? Where did this happen?
No, absolutely. I was quite surprised because if you're Jamaica, that's the game that you have to prioritize. This isn't a Jamaica preview, but Tapa Whitmore reportedly is coaching for his job in Costa Rica tomorrow night. And I think he should be. They really failed. I mean, they really failed. Because that was the game where you said, oh, well, we have all of our players. We have everybody from the UK. Leon Bailey's not healthy, but these other new guys, Michael Antonio and Kemar Roof and all these players are in. So it'll be good, right? And it wasn't good. They looked like a team that had never played together. And then once that first goal fell, it just didn't seem like there was the response, the urgency that you need when you go into a game that, yeah, sure, it was the second. Second game of 14, but still, you see the United States panicking because of 2 points from their first 2 games. Jamaica now 0 points from their first 2 games and going into another game. So I think credit to Panama for putting the pedal to the metal, for taking care of business and seeing, hey, this Jamaica team is there for the taking. We can score some goals here. That's exactly what they did. And I think that, again, for Mexico, it is a bit of a warning that Panama does have a bit of a threat, right? Because I think, after that 0-0 against Costa Rica, and even, there was a game in the first round of qualification against Dominica, not even the Dominican Republic, Dominica, and Panama needed a late goal to get the victory there. And, it's not a team, with all respect to them, that you should be dropping points against. They didn't, but they almost did because of their lack of scoring. They create chances often. Edgar Yoel Barcenas, who played in Mexico, is a great playmaker. Adalberto Carrasquilla, now playing with the Houston Dynamo, really can control the midfield, a two-way player. It'll also be fascinating, Wiso, and another big narrative I think to watch is who rests, because Panama didn't make changes between the first game and the second game. You're going to have to see some changes in this game because I don't think anyone is fit enough to go 90 minutes, 3 games in a week. So maybe 1 or 2 players, but I think Panama will be making modifications. And for me, the question is who they put out front, because again, the finishing is not amazing. And without Barcenas creating those chances and someone finishing those chances, I do think that it's a Panama team that they're going to put up some zeros. They're going to have some games where the other teams keep clean sheets. And that should be the goal for Mexico, even though they're on the road in this game because of Panama's potential deficiencies up top.
Well, there's a preview for Panama. John, you cover Mexico. We did it, during the Gold Cup. Everybody involved. So I'll go to Owen first. What do you expect Mexico in this game against Panama? Not necessarily a lineup, but at least changes that you would like to see. Tata's not going to be there again. But as we know, I still think Tata's running the show. Owen?
Well, I think the changes are largely in force. You've got Romo, who's going to come in for Edson because of the yellow card suspension. I expect Orbelin to maintain his spot on the left wing. Henry Martin, I think, will come in. I think because of Funes Mori having played the first 2 games, he's probably tired, not able to start 3 games in a week. I'd prefer Henry Martin for that more than anything else before we get into this discussion.
You think Tata's going to change? Because I still think Funes Mori starts.
No, I would be surprised. I think the reason why you could argue from my perspective that Funes Mori would start is because we know that confidence is so important for a striker. So if Funes Mori is getting lambasted in the media for these chances he's missed in the first 2 games, and then you sit him, how does that look? Right? How does that affect the relation between Tata and Funes Mori? But I
also think that Tata is very stubborn and will go, we won with my lineup. You know what I mean? It's like, it's right. 6 points and, we're going to continue to do what I think is right because I'm getting the results.
I think more than the players, the changes that should be made, it's the changes that shouldn't be made. I think you should maintain the back 4 and in the midfield maintain the players who don't have yellow card suspension. So keep Guardado and keep Charlie in there. I thought that duo worked really well in the more advanced part of the midfield.
Yeah. John, do you see Funes Mori starting? How about changes and what you would like to see or what you think Tata's going to go?
I'd switch out Funes Mori. I think he was a good kind of servant to the national team during the Gold Cup, and I think he can be quite useful going forward, especially if we don't see a thawing in relations with Chicharito, or if we don't see other central forward options. You know, if the red list stuff continues when Raul is not able to come in October, for instance, you need Funes Mori, right? You absolutely have to have some sort of 9 option, and Martin is another one. And I think that if I were the coach, I would start him, and I do think they'll make that change. I understand what you're saying, Wiso, but I think it's kind of a moment where not only does Funes Mori have the miles on his legs that Owen's mentioning, but also hasn't performed up to standard, right? I thought, that miss where he doesn't see Gallardo streaking down the into the box, and I think it was the 53rd or 54th minute, and that caps the game if they're able to convert that chance. He plays it short, and it's like, nah, man, like you have to have better field vision than that if you're going to play as the 9 in Tata's system, right? It's a system where not only does he want a central forward, but he wants a central forward who can help play off each other. That's why Raul, I think, works so well in the system, because he can bring those wingers into the attack when he's got his back to goal or when they're in a counterattack situation like they were on that play. I'm fascinated to see Luis Romo. I think he's the obvious replacement for Edson Alvarez in this game, but I also wonder if long term that he could be a player that steps in not just as a cameo, but into the starting lineup. That also would solve another problem that I think Mexico could have, which is the center back, right? If Edson can drop to center back and play next to Nestor Araujo or whoever is in form, then you don't have the question mark when Hector Moreno is injured like he is now, or if one of the younger guys, Johan Vazquez or Cesar Montes, don't step up and elevate their game. That's fine. You have, options in the midfield. And even just talking about situations like, potential difficulty with Ajax, or hopefully not, but an injury, I think there is depth at that position now with Romo, but I'm excited to see exactly what he can do against Panama, again, who I do think has a strong midfield. We'll see. I'm expecting some modifications there as well because of the number of games again. But if he goes not head to head, but if it's a Romo holding versus Carrasquillo holding, I think that would be quite interesting. So those are the 2 spots that I have my eyes on. Is does Tata replace the central forward, and what does Romo look like in that midfield spot that I think he'll take? So in another one, Owen saying he'd play the same back line. Kata was good, but I don't know that I would put him back in.
Kata was good, guys. Kata did great. Owen made a video about Kata. That means Kata had a good game.
That means he got a dope soundtrack. That's what it means. That doesn't necessarily mean he had a great... No, I thought he was good. And he actually surprised me because I was like, wow, this is going to be quite defensive. And then he wasn't. He played the role. He played the part. Not as much as Xhaka does, that's for sure. But no, I think it's a fine modification, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see a swap back to someone we're more used to seeing in that spot.
I'm surprised Xhaka has not made it.
Xhaka
play, by the way.
Xhaka hasn't even been on the bench for the first 2 matches, and I think there could be an injury there. So we picked up an injury from Mazatlan about 2 weeks before the start of camp. He was called into camp, but then he got 1 minute against Alice. I think came on as a late sub, so the match just before this camp. And like I said, so he hasn't dressed now for these first 2 games. So I think there's an injury issue there. Yeah. So that's why he's not starting. And then you've got Avion Ramirez who has null experience at senior level with the Mexican national team. So I think although Kata was called in late because of the situation with Vazquez, I think a player with a lot more experience than Avion Ramirez, certainly in that position, and a player who knows how to play right back as well. Who's done it at Cruz Azul. He hasn't done it necessarily in the last couple of years, but he has played right back quite frequently there.
Gata Dominguez, man, I think he did great. So we'll see. Adriana, will mimic. I mean, what do you expect? First of all, Funes Mori starts for you, yes or no? Not for you, for Tata, and for you, I guess.
For Tata, everything's just fine. I mean, you got 6 out of 6.
There it is.
But I think he thinks the system is doing okay. I do think he has to start thinking about pressure regarding coming from the fans, coming from the press, especially after losing those finals and during the summer. So I don't think you're really risking anything if you put Henry just to start and see how that goes. I really don't think you're like missing out on something like, oh my God, we're taking a risk. I don't think that's true. So I would put Henry in. I think you should take advantage of him being like in a way better streak. And I just think he's better mentally right now than Funes Mori. So I definitely put him in. And yeah, definitely Romo taking control of that midfield will be really interesting. I think we're all expecting him to start. And yeah, just see how that defense does as well, because they are missing out on some players as well.
Someone said to put in Mr. Santi Jimenez. Give him his spot.
Wasn't that. I mean, he was called up to the U21 team, and then he just had to like switch teams. I mean, it was just kind of like crossing the street, like, oh, I'm going over with these guys. Just so wait a second. So that. I'm really excited for him. I think he's a really great young player. I just don't want him to have that much pressure just yet, because I mean, again, he's just so young. I mean, and it's not. I mean, we have a terrible tendency to just bring up players and be like, oh, they'll do fine. Don't worry about it. Oh, it's national team material. What could possibly go wrong with having them play? I think we're kind of terrible at that sometimes. With some players, we just bring them up because they're in a great moment, but doesn't mean they're necessarily ready, right? So
if we're up 4-0,
yeah, you can do that. Yeah, that's a great moment for him.
I do think it has to be situational, and even with the United States, it might be too soon to mention this for the Mexican soccer show, but Ricardo Pepi, 18 years old. He hasn't come into a game yet, right? And I wouldn't be surprised to see him off the bench, but like, there's no way they're starting him, because even though he's kind of excelled in these big moments at club level and with the MLS All-Stars, he hasn't necessarily had that international experience. I think Santi Jimenez is the same way, where we've seen him do big things at club level. You know, in the run to the championship was critical. We've seen him have important goals in other situations, but I wouldn't. And I don't think Tata will put him in at the start. If you can make a cameo, if you're up 2-0, you've already done what you want to do with your defense, and you still got a sub left, go run for 10 minutes, understand what it feels like, understand the difference, understand the humidity of Panama City, understand the fans yelling at you.
You have the cap time, right? I mean, I guess you do, Santi. You can.
Well,
right?
I think he's Argentine eligible, but I don't know that he's in an enormous risk category. But yeah.
I think it's like John said, it has to be like situational, because I mean, what would have happened if you had one of those players come on against Jamaica? If we had fans during that game, it would have been terrible. I mean, I can't imagine the fans booing the team at some point during that game just because you hadn't scored in the first half. So if you have a player like Santi and he comes on in and you're not scoring against Jamaica in a home game, you don't want that kind of pressure. That pressure can really build up for a player. It can really be like counterproductive. So just get like those experienced players. But if you have like a 4-0 victory, like John said, just give him some minutes and let him just get a feel of the things, right?
I think the situation with Santi, first of all, he hasn't been on the bench for the first two matches, so I'm not expecting him to be on the bench tomorrow. With that being said, this idea of pressure, the only type of pressure at club level that could maybe be comparable to the pressure that one could get with the Mexican national team is with a Cruz Azul that hasn't won a title for 23 years. And although he's not the main forward there, he was a key part of that championship winning team, keeping in mind that he went through a long scoring drought between the end of the Apertura 2020 or the Guardianes 2020, and then through most of the Guardianes 2021, couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. He wasn't scoring goals, went through a long goal scoring drought, was getting plenty of criticism, plenty of discussion around that, and then manages to turn it around in the clutch, in the Liguilla, and score some important goals. So I think to the extent that, he hasn't played with the senior national team, we haven't seen how he responds to that atmosphere. I think he's a player who's already shown at a young age that he's able to respond in pressure situations.
I know you asked the questions here, Wiso, but I want to ask a question that Adriana's comments brought up to my mind. She said, if he debuts in the Azteca and fans are there and they're booing him, that's pressure you don't want. Most countries would say we don't want him to debut on the road and face the difficulty of a road crowd.
Isn't that crazy?
Is it harder to debut for Mexico in the Azteca or on the road?
It depends on how, what the game is at that point. If you're winning,
if
it's a 3-0 victory, go ahead, do whatever you want, right?
It's an interesting discussion.
But again, it is because it depends a lot right now with fans. I mean, if you're gonna have fans in the stands, you definitely don't, because they're gonna. I mean, that just happens. So it really depends on the game. I mean, maybe if you were facing Costa Rica and you're winning comfortably and there are no fans in the state, I mean, you could take that shot, right? You can't have that possibility. But at least you're not winning or not playing as well as you thought you would at Azteca. It's an unnecessary risk.
All right, so John, thank you so much. Before you leave, John, actually, you know what? You're staying until we're done. So I'm just gonna put that in right now. Let's talk about Concacaf and what we see coming forward as far as the games. If I can get, I think I have the schedule here for the week. Here we go. Yeah, there it is. All right, so on the 3rd, as you can see, Canada plays hosts El Salvador, Honduras, USA, Panama, Mexico, Costa Rica, Jamaica. They're all spicy. Like all these games, I love qualifying because you can sit there. I hate the fact that they're on the same time, but there's a time change. I'm just reading the chat right now. Mexico playing earlier now.
Yeah, they changed it because of curfew in Panama. Apparently, everyone was like shocked at some point because no one thought that was going to happen. I think they put the curfew in yesterday, and then no one realized it was just like overlapping with the game, so then no one would be able to make it to the game. So they changed the time from 8 p.m. Central Time. No, 8 p.m. Eastern. I'm sorry, 9 p.m. Eastern to 8 p.m. Eastern. So they made it an hour earlier so that fans could actually make it to stadiums. Yeah, they pushed it back.
It worked out because they pushed the U.S. back later an hour because Honduras is doing whatever they want to. So so you can actually see both Mexico and the US without interruption this time. So there you go.
All right. So what do we see? What do you expect, John, in this last round? To go to you, Mr. Concacaf.
It's too bad you couldn't find a more involved graphic, man. That was extremely clear. I don't know, man. No, I think that, you look at this final round again. I think Jamaica, to me, stands out as a disappointment, a team where I think, Tapa Whitmore might be coaching for his job, and rightfully so. They go to Costa Rica team that also hasn't won the start qualification, needs points at home. U.S. fans are quite concerned, right? There's a lot of worry, and I think that part of that is just what happened in 2018 cycle where they didn't make the World Cup, and I get that, but I would say that the pressure is on the home teams in the 4 games that we have on Wednesday. Canada, as good as they played against the US and got an important road point, they didn't start off qualification with a win at home, and I think there's going to be a lot of Salvadoran fans in Toronto, something to keep an eye on. There's a big Salvadoran community in Toronto, and of course they're stoked to be able to see their national team. Panama, kind of the same way, where it's, they start off qualification with a bang. Maybe they don't have as much pressure on them compared to other home teams, but you don't want to lose at home to Mexico. They didn't last cycle. They battled to a draw. So I think that there's going to be some extra motivation there. There always is when Mexico's in town. And then Costa Rica, like we're saying, they need a win. They don't have one yet. They already lost 1 game at home. And Honduras, this is their first home game, and they started with 2 draws as well. A lot of injuries, a lot of absences. I was impressed with those Cutrachos to get a point in Canada. They weren't as impressive even with a better squad against El Salvador. So I think that the pressure is really on the home teams. Yeah, the U.S., fans will be panicking for sure if they lose. But I think when you look at the grand scheme of things, it's the home teams that can't drop points. And every single home team but Mexico that's played at home already has dropped points. So I think it's all about holding serve and making sure that you get at least 1 at home, and ideally, of course, you get 3. But I think that's where the pressure is on Canada, is on Honduras, and is on Costa Rica, and then Panama, Mexico leading the group. You're feeling pretty good.
What happens, John? What's your prediction?
I think Canada wins pretty convincingly, even without Alphonso Davies, who's injured. I think he'll be, he's a key piece, but I think that Canada will be able to show that they're more than just Davies. I like a draw actually between Panama and Mexico. If Mexico can find the back of the net, they can convert. I predicting a draw. I think that Mexico, if they can convert the scoring chances that I think they will create, then I think everything changes. But Panama, I feel like probably will have more confidence than they've ever had as far as their attack after that 3-0 victory on the road. A team that, like I said, I think they struggle to finish, but I think they have more motivation, more confidence now. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's a 1-1 scoring draw. Costa Rica, Jamaica, I think Costa Rica is going to smash them, to be honest. I think it could be 2-1, 3-1. I think that Jamaica's in a really rough situation. I think they need to change managers because I don't think they have any ideas, and I don't think they're playing good football. Quite frankly, tactically, I don't like what they're doing. And then Honduras against the U.S. I actually think the U.S. is going to win. I know everyone's panicking. I know everyone's worried, but I think the U.S. by the talent advantage and by the fact that there is pressure on, and I think they kind of recognize the situation. I actually think they'll get a victory. It's not 2 p.m. like it usually is at San Pedro Sula. It's not going to be 100 degrees and 90% humidity. I think the U.S. is actually going to be able to take it and take a little bit of that pressure off their shoulders.
I think we were all kind of thinking of that in the Canada. Sure, they could tie, but we were expecting the U.S. to win. And even expecting the U.S. to win in El Salvador. Could we see a tie in both games? Yes. And I think I'm with you, everyone, on this one. I'm like, I looked at the 3 games. I feel like they're going to win one, tie one, and maybe tie another. Like, that's how I just kind of went like that. They could win both, but there's going to be somewhere where they tie because it's a tough game. So for me, looking at the U.S., they should win. If I have to bet on my life, they should win. But if they don't, now the pressure starts. Like, it could happen that you're in Honduras, you saved, which arguably the hardest game, right, for them. As far as, Cuscatlan was really hard, but
I think El Salvador is hard. I think they're a better team as well. They drew nil.
You think El Salvador is a better team than Honduras right now?
I'm extremely down on Honduras. You can at me, Honduras fans. I think it's a rough moment. I don't think they make the World Cup this time around. That's for sure. But maybe they will.
Honduras did give them trouble in the Nations League, though. In that semifinal, I thought Honduras could have won that.
You can go back to all these games. We're talking so bad about Jamaica. They almost tied Mexico if it wasn't for Henry Martin. You get talking about some Honduras and U.S. They tied Canada, who tied the U.S. Like this, it's hilarious how.
No, and that's how it should be, right? I mean, it shouldn't be easy to qualify for the World Cup, and I think like Mexico fans have this expectation of we're going to get there caminando, and it's possible this time around that they do sort of. If you get 9 points from this first match window, you're sitting extremely pretty, and especially because the more draws you have, and we've already had a ton of draws, the fewer points you need to qualify automatically. So I think if you get 9 and you say your target's 21, you're almost there.
Yeah, we'll see that. All right, Owen, what happens? Look at that back on there. Just want to make sure. What happens in this Canada, Honduras, Panama, Costa Rica? What do you have?
I think I see a Canadian win, a relatively convincing Canadian win as well. I agree with John. I'm going to go with the draw between Honduras and the United States. Like I said, I think Honduras is a team that gave the United States a lot of trouble the last time they played. I think they have the potential at home to do that again. And then I think Mexico will pull it out. I think it won't be easy again, but I think Mexico, I see an away win. I think they're a team that although there are questions about the functionality, they're in a winning moment. And I think that's important as they go into this match. And I think also you're looking, like John mentioned about Panama, you've got the same starting lineup in the first 2 matches, and going even further, they're the only team where with 6 players who have played the entirety of those 2 matches. That's more than any other team. So there's going to have to be rotations there, and more to the point, rotations of key players within that starting 11. I think that's an advantage for Mexico as well. And then I see Costa Rica winning, but I don't see it being easy in that basement battle. 2 teams that are really in turmoil, although it's just the start of Luis Fernando Suarez's tenure, essentially. They haven't looked good in their first 2 matches. They probably should have lost in Panama if it isn't for Keylor Navas, and they barely threatened Mexico in the match on Sunday. The 2 of the 3 best chances they created were off throw-ins. So they were really struggling to create anything from open play. With that being said, Jamaica are probably in an even worse moment. There's a lot of questions around Tapa Whitmore, as John was alluding to.
Adriana, no Dest, no McKennie, no Reina. They're starting keeper. I mean, you're taking out the Europeos with all the problems going on. The U.S. gets the win.
Yeah, I think so. I agree with John. This Honduras doesn't seem quite as tough as we usually would expect, especially as a home team. I mean, usually when you looked at Concacaf qualifiers, it was like those away games in Costa Rica, Honduras, and then El Salvador, which we were like highlighting like, oh, those are really tough. I mean, obviously the U.S. because it was Columbus, changing it up this time. But yeah, definitely like Honduras is one of those really tough like places, you really expect the worst from the fans in the sense that they're going to make it really difficult. But it just doesn't seem as though they have that generation that will actually make it really difficult for the U.S., despite how many players they're losing for this last game. So I do think the U.S. will shake off that pressure and probably get a victory. I expect the same thing from Costa Rica, Canada as well. I think they might. I think that could be a draw, but I wouldn't be surprised if Canada wins. And then I think Mexico wins as well.
All right. I really don't know. Like I can go back now listening to you guys. I think Mexico gets the win. I'm not surprised if it's a tie, and it's okay if it's a tie. You know, we're looking at the teams, but at the same time, I want to see the team playing differently. That's all. You know, hopefully there's a lot of chances to score chances. Panama is as good as they are at home, or you know, but it could be an easy game again. With when I'm saying it's easy, Panama doesn't do anything. We miss a lot of chances and we win 1-0. Like that's what I meant to say, that we don't get scared. And I keep predicting 1-0 wins. So we'll see what happens. Costa Rica and they have to get that win. I mean, and I think they will. I'm with you guys there. Canada, El Salvador. I think El Salvador is pumped. They just tied. They tied the United States, and they tied Honduras. I feel like they're pumped, ready to go. No Alphonso Davies. That's huge. If it was Alphonso Davies, there's 3 goals you can just go around through. I mean, look at what he did against the U.S. So I think it's a tie there, maybe even a win. And crazy Canada, and just how fast everything kind of goes for them. And who am I missing? What am I missing? That's it. No. Oh, the U.S. Yeah, I didn't even talk about the U.S. I think the U.S. wins, and I'm going to be surprised if they tie. And I'm going to laugh if they tie, just because it's just horrible. But that being said, I don't want Berhalter fired just yet. Like, I want him to wait until Cincinnati. Give him some.
Well, you should root for a draw. You should root for a draw. They just draw, lose to Mexico. He's out.
Yeah, they're like, I'm just saying, like, just wait till the Mexico game, because I do think that he does not know what, like when I'm watching the game, I'm like, wow, like there's something going on there. There's a lot of fans that are talking about it. Is he the right person for the job? I don't know, but when he gets the loss tomorrow, John, do you think Federation starts thinking of another person if he gets the loss?
I think he has a longer leash than that.
Yeah.
He won the Nations League. He won the Gold Cup.
True.
You lose one of your first 3 qualifiers and you're out. Nah, I don't think so. I mean, I understand the concern. And like I said, I think people are traumatized is like a strong word for talking about soccer, but I think people are remembering what happened in 2018. And that's the thing, is like everyone's very worried because of what happened. So I don't think he would get the axe, but if it happened again in October, then I think he would be on the hot seat. And the question too is who would replace him, right? Jesse Marsch, coach of RB Leipzig. If he left the Bundesliga to coach the national team, then sure, but you're not going to get him, right? He's not going to do that. That'd be a bad career move. So
hey, he liked that tweet, man. I saw
he liked to tweet and then said, I'm not that good at this Twitter thing. And it's like, I don't know, man. You might just not be that good at not being on your burner account, right? I don't know. I'm just saying it's possible. It's possible we have a Kevin Durant situation. It's possible.
That's the big point, though, that John mentioned with the whole Berhalter discussion, is he wasn't under pressure at all before the start of this, a couple of days ago. So it's not like the U.S. Federation have been thinking of potential backup options, probably, right? So any replacement that they brought in, if the United States lose against Honduras, it would potentially be by the seat of their pants.
In 3 days.
Who would want to come in? If they, like John's saying, if they struggle against Honduras and then potentially in October, if things don't go well, then you've had some time potentially to look at replacements.
It's crazy how we were just 5 days ago, everyone was just like we're talking to people are mad at the U.S. coaching just because of that. Man, that's how fast everything kind of happens, and I can see it. Oh, and really quick, what is that? What jersey is that? I feel like I keep looking at it. Is that Newell's Old Boys?
It's Newell's Old Boys. Yeah,
there it is.
Yeah. It's got Messi on the back.
Tata Martino. I thought I was gonna have Tata Martino.
No.
Yeah, I was like, man, I'm like, either it's a really old Atlas jersey, All right, man. It's got to be because I only see this part of it. So I was like,
I figured
Barely
people
a
might,
mix of you, so.
they might think it was an Atlas jersey.
it was
too.
like an
That's
old,
what I was going
the
for.
old Atlas jersey. My favorite
Yeah.
jerseys from Mexico was the Kappa Atlas jersey. I still have that jersey, the Atlas Kappa one.
Is that the Marcus one
Guardado.
still?
Huh? Which one?
Yeah.
Sorry, Adriana said something?
Yeah, like those.
I think you're cutting out, Adriana.
Yeah, I was saying the one Rafa Marquez, Guardado, like going
Yeah,
way back.
I think the Rafa. All I know is that as soon as Guardado had it, I bought it. It was like $120 from Kappa. It took like 3 weeks to get wherever I at, and man, it feels so good. But then, yeah, I can't fit in it because I got a gut. So that's what happens. All right, John. Once again, really quick, John. Where can people follow you? I know you have an awesome newsletter. What's up? All right.
If you find me on Twitter at Arnold, John, you can find the subscription link to the newsletter, or just Google "Getting Concacaf," and then you can find the newsletter directly. So hope everyone will sign up and enjoy getting that in their inbox. Every Monday there's a premium edition which focuses on Mexico, and then the Concacaf catch-up, which is like everything that happened in the rest of the region. So there is #Mexico Monday, so I think people will definitely enjoy that. You can read that in the morning and then watch the Mexican soccer show at night.
Did you say? Wait, you can get Conca what? Not there's
It's-
something
well,
just Conca catch-up.
The newsletter is the Monday feature is the Conca catch-up, where you catch up on CONCACAF.
There you go. I love it. All right. Adriana, thank you again. Good to see you. All right. Stay cool with that Coapa beanie you have. Owen, keeping it cool, keeping it real. Congratulations again. If you're following Owen Furkick's blog and all the things that he does. And thank you again, Amy, putting it all together and the production of this. And we'll see. Who's saying fuera Wiso? What's going on? What did I say? What? That guy named 20.
I think it's because you said the U.S. is going to win.
No, you know what? He always used to say fuera Wiso from like years. I didn't know that name. and then Mig saying fuera Wiso. What did I do? Because I said the U.S. is going to win. No, we want the U.S. to win, so that way they keep Berhalter. So therefore, they, all of a sudden
they lose him, but later.
Yeah. But later. All right. Hasta la próxima, guys. We'll see you all, and we'll see what happens tomorrow on World Cup qualifying. And